So, good evening, one and all. Welcome to this Facebook Live. For those of you that don't know me, my name's Rick Cardwell. I'm a local therapist, specialise in relationships. I do deal with every other aspect of stress and anxiety. So, prompted really to do this Facebook Live around one or two questions that were pointed at me after I did a video probably last week on procrastination, and people didn't really understand why they are stuck, ways to move forward from that, from being stuck either in relationships or in stress and anxiety, or just generally in life, in situations really. So I kind of want to address that, or put some things across to you to make you understand the correct and psychological process to move forward in a way that helps you stop procrastinating and get on with your life, which is important because time's passing by and we don't get that back, do we? So we all know that. So when you look at social media, and this is a modern day phenomenon, when you look at social media, what there is now is something that we've never experienced in human history before, in that we have a wealth of information thrown at us from every corner of the globe 24/7. And that information can be everything from the worst information in the world to the best information in the world and everything in between. And we're absolutely saturated in information from social media, from the internet in general, but there's a lot of it. So you would think with all that information, with all that knowledge, with all that wealth of experience, that we would actually be wiser, cleverer, more experienced, more understanding, and all of those positive things that come from getting information. I guess a little bit like going to college or school and learning stuff. You would think that would be the case, but actually it's quite the opposite. And there's reasons for that, in that it's information overload when we have choices to make. If we've got too many choices, we basically just don't choose anything. So when we think about people, and we will all know somebody whose life is always in a mess, and they go through cycles of the same mess over and over again, the same shitty relationship, the same problems, the same doing this, and the same complaining over and over again. And the question is why don't we do anything to change our lives to stop these patterns of behavior? Because in honesty, not many of us do. When we get past a certain age, we become complacent and we settle for the problems that we have, knowing that we need to change them, but not changing them. So how should we do that? Well, I'm going to tell you how you should do that. And hopefully you'll start doing that today, if not tonight, and create some changes in your life for the better. So when you think about what has happened to you in the past, those experiences have made you the person that you are now. They're a collective of experiences, of things said, of emotions that you felt, and they have created the way that you think, feel, and behave now through those experiences, good or bad. You can't get away from that. We're a product of what we've experienced in life. And when you think about the purpose of memory, people think the purpose of memory is to remember the past. Well, memory is, remembering the past. That's what we do, but that's not the purpose of memory. The purpose of memory is to take things from the past so that we can now not do the same stupid things again in the future. The purpose of memory is to learn from the past and to be able to construct a future more effectively and more positively, because we've done a lot of dumb things in the past that we need to have learned from. And that's the argument of why we have memory long term, is to help us, enable us to put our lives right from experience and create a better life. Now, if you don't learn from the past, then you're stuck on the hamster wheel. and you're making the same mistakes again and again, and you're going round and round because you're not taking the events of the past and your experiences and moving on, using those experiences to move on. So you're just staying where you are. And if you had terrible things that happened to you in the past, and you don't understand them, really difficult, terrible things, if you don't understand them, what that means is you are insufficiently prepared for the future, which means you're going to be in a constant state of anxiety and stress. So that means that you need to understand about the things that have happened to you in your life, how you feel about them, and how they've affected you emotionally, psychologically, and physiologically. So you can take that experience and use it to create your future. If you don't understand it, that lack of understanding creates stress and anxiety because it creates a fear of the unknown in the future. I hope that makes sense. So if you were to write about your past, so get yourself a notebook, big sheet of paper, and you want to write about your past, and you do a causal analysis of the good and the bad things that happened to you. So what that means is that you write out all the things that come to mind that have been really good for your life, that you've had really good experiences from and you've enjoyed, and write those emotions down. And write down the bad things that have happened to you, how they made you feel, why they happened, what you did. And you kind of create a little storybook about those good and bad events, and think about them. That's a causal analysis of your past. And what that does is that prepares your brain, it arms you for more effectively operating in the present and the future, because you've learned, you understand more about yourself, because you've really thought and analysed what's gone on to make you the person that you are today, and you understand yourself better. So when you understand yourself better, you understand how you're performing today in this moment, but you're also able to think and analyse how you could be in the future based on those experiences. So that's really, really helpful. And also doing that is really good for your physical health as well, because that reduces your stress and anxiety. And physiologically, there's lots of really good benefits. So start with your map, start with your causal analysis of everything that's been in your past that has been good, bad, or even indifferent. So that's about dividing your past into sections and thinking about those sections. As I've said, how you felt, what you were doing, what did you do right, what did you do wrong, and writing it all down as if you were talking to yourself about it, as if you were telling yourself that story. And from that analysis, you should be able to recognize your faults so that you can improve on them. And you should be able to recognize your virtues, the things that you've done well, so that you can continue to capitalize on them and improve on them to make you a better functioning human being in the future, because you know you've always done things well and you can do them even better. And that will map out a picture of your strengths and weaknesses, your pros and your cons, to really help you to understand yourself as a human being as you are today. And looking into the future, you should formulate, let's say, create or formulate a vision for your life. So imagine you are charged with looking after yourself, and you're determined to do a really good job of looking after yourself and creating a good future for yourself. Then there's lots of questions that you need to ask yourself to do that. So I would ask you, if you could have what you wanted in, say, 3 to 5 years down the road, what would be good for you? And what do you want from your friends? What do you want from your career, your job? How are you going to educate yourself in the future? What do you want from your family? You can write all these down and answer these questions. What do you want from an intimate relationship? how are you going to handle the pitfalls that come along, like drink, drugs, other sorts of temptations that are there to ruin your life? How are you going to take care of yourself mentally and physically? Write these questions down and make them clear and precise. What are you going to do with your time outside of work that's productive and meaningful? So really, you kind of want to be seriously asking yourself, if you could have what you wanted and that would be good for you, then what would that look like? What would your life be like if those conditions were all met? You answered all those questions in a positive way. What would your life be like in 3 to 5 years' time in the future? Because by asking those questions, understanding yourself as the way that you are now, you will be able to formulate a way forward for your future that is so much better than what it's likely to be now if you just plod on doing what you're doing, hoping for the best, taking in information from the internet that is just knowledge that doesn't have actions. Okay, then you should do the reverse. Okay, so take stock of your failings, what you have failed at, what you've not done so good at, what have you have done that has caused you to feel bad about yourself, and imagine that they all get out of hand and these things aren't good for you. Okay, so in 3 to 5 years down the road, what is your life going to look like if all the failings that you have completely manifest and grow and increase your life in that area? Think about what your life's going to be like in 3 to 5 years. So you've now established 2 points: something to strive for and something to stay away from. And that is really, really motivating, because we do, as human beings, we've survived by striving to achieve. That's why we used to live in caves, and now I can talk to practically anybody in the world sat here in this chair. That's what the human brain and the human race does for survival. It's really healthy for us. It gives us hope, it gives us a future, and it makes us feel good. It makes us feel confident. It gives us lots of good feelings that are healthy for a good, healthy, long life. So that's a good reason for doing that. And if you are hopeful of doing something, then that will give you a sense of reward and a sense of drive and a sense of motivation. But by not doing that, then you should be afraid, and you should be afraid of not doing anything. The way your anxiety is when you have a plan moving forward and you really set yourself goals to move forward, that's like putting the anxiety behind you, pushing you forward instead of not having a plan or just plodding on the way that you're doing, because in that sense, your anxiety is in front of you, stopping you from moving forward, and they're completely different ways of life. So imagine that you want to undertake a new enterprise. You might say, look at all the risks and look at all the threat. Okay, you want to get a new job, you want to get a new relationship, you want to work on your marriage, you want to get something in your life that will benefit you and make your life better. Okay, that's great. So you look at all the risks and you look at all the threats, and that can really scare you, that can paralyze you, because that is fear. When you look at the risks and the threat, there's real fear involved in that. But you can say pretty much simultaneously, fair enough, there's fear involved in moving forward, but look at where I might end up if I don't do it. There's a whole different issue, because there are dangers ahead of you associated with the risk of change, but there are an awful lot of dangers here where you are now and behind you that are just as dangerous if you stay where you are. So perhaps it's worthwhile taking the risk. So you should both have, you should use both your negative and positive emotion systems, have them both working for you. You should take your positive vision and create a plan. So one question could be, okay, break your vision up into, you've got a vision, you've got a goal, break that up into 9 small practical steps and develop a strategy and articulate the first goal that you need to accomplish. Well, your first goal is write it out. Write it out, map out your future. What do you want? That's goal 1. Okay, you've mapped it out. What is the next step that I need to do to accomplish this goal? And go through the steps, start looking at the steps to see what you've got to do and map that achievement out in small micro goals that are going to mean that you can reach those goals by stretching yourself a bit, because you need to be challenged, but don't make the steps too big that they're not attainable, and meet those goals a step at a time. So have a specific goal and aim at it. The other thing is that you need to have really good reasons to stay on track, because if you're not really motivated and you're not really wanting to change your life in a positive and meaningful way, then your doubts and your fears will just undo you and you will never get there, because that's what we do. We like to destroy ourselves up here. We like to doubt ourselves and we like to fear and we like to stay where we are. And on top of that, we've got the opposition of other people that doubt us as well. So you really need to be motivated to make change. You've really got to articulate your rationale so that you can express what you want to do in a way that is meaningful and positive and passionate to achieve it, and make it sure that it's driven, so you're aiming at it, because that will kill your doubts and that will move you forward powerfully, and that's designed to affect the improvement in your life, that motivation and that drive. So you need to find all these things in mapping your life to move forward, because they're really important to be able to move away from this place where we're stuck, because the being stuck is quite a powerful place to be, really. It is uncomfortable and it takes determination to break that. So there you go, there's a way forward. If you're stuck in anything at all, jobs, relationships, anxiety, stress, start to map it out, start to work a way forward. But don't make this knowledge, don't make what I've just said to you information or interesting. That's nothing. If you're going to do that, go away and read your Facebook posts all day and wonder why your life doesn't change. Take this as something that needs to be actioned on for a positive to change your life. And if you can do that, I promise you your life will change. You can do it. And what I really applaud people that I've worked with is that it is amazing, unbelievably amazing, of what you can achieve. As human beings, we've conquered incredible things. We've done amazing acts of bravery, and that's what we can do as individuals. When we set our mind to do something and we have to do something, we can do it. And we can do it when we perceive ourselves to be focused to do that. So don't limit yourself with your life. Do something with your life to make it better today. So there you go. I hope you've enjoyed listening. You know where I am on Facebook. If you want to drop me a message, ask me a question, give me a thumbs up, give me a thumbs down, whatever suits you. I will try and endeavour to answer your questions. I think I'm up to date with nearly all of them, maybe 1 or 2 to catch up on. I'll always answer your questions when I get to them eventually, so please do keep them coming in. If you need any further support from me, you can click on my banner, arrange to have a half-hour, 45-minute chat to discuss any personal needs that you've got. Otherwise, as I say, keep following the Facebooks, keep giving the questions. I love to hear from you, and hopefully this is helpful for you. And I will see you in the next Facebook Live, which will be tomorrow. So thank you for your time. Enjoy the rest of your evening.